Welcome to Living Your Greatness. Each episode, we bring on great people to inspire you to achieve your greatness. We discuss topics all related to health and wellness. Listen to world-class stories, learn valuable lessons, and turn knowledge into action. It is now time for you to unlock your inner greatness. Welcome back, everyone, to Living Your Greatness. This is your host, Ben Mummy, and today we have a new guest to the show, and his name is Clifford Barry. So for those of you that don't know Cliff was introduced to competitive swimming at 15 years of age. During his university years, he swam for both Western University and Concordia University. Cliff then discovered his passion for water polo. He became a two-time Olympic water polo player for Team Canada and competed at the 1972 and 1976 Games. Cliff was a standout player on the team for many years. He understood the importance of team discipline and quality training. When his athletic career came to an end, Cliff decided to pursue a coaching career in swimming. Cliff was the head coach of the national team for many years and coached Victor Davis to gold in the 200-meter breaststroke at the 1984 Olympic Games. Cliff was known for being a caring but demanding coach. In 2016, the Canadian Swim Coaches and Teachers Association added Clifford Barry into their Hall of Fame. So Cliff, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on today.
Thank you, Ben. I really appreciate the chance to hear myself talk.
Absolutely. So Cliff, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you spend your formative years growing up in Canada? And what inspired you to become both an Olympic athlete and Olympic coach?
Well, believe it or not, I grew up in the east end of Montreal, right near where the Olympic site is. I actually used to toboggan down the hill where they built the Olympic site, and had a dream as a kid that I wanted to go to the Olympics. But I also, I just loved sport, and I loved the water. And I guess I had something to prove. So it was sort of in the cards for me that I would somehow do something in swimming or in the water, you know. And fortunately, saved my life. There was we're at East End. There was an East End on Hochelaga Street, a boys and girls club called East End Boys and Girls Club, which cost $1 a year to join. And they had a 25-yard pool in the basement. And they had a coach who was one of the great Canadian coaches of the time, a Czech defector, a brilliant man, and connected like you won't believe. He had connections with Molson and Red Feather organization. And he was very influential in sport and in the world, and produced many Canadian championship water polo teams. And I was very fortunate to go up there and meet all these Eastern European guys that they came from all over the world, and we all loved the water polo and swimming. So that sort of saved my life, was going to the East End Boys Club.
Thanks for sharing, Cliff. So Cliff, how did coaching come into your life, and what was that journey like for you?
Well, I had to make a living while I was going to university and stuff like that. So the Boys Club always presented me the opportunity for employment in the summer. And I ran the gym one summer. I ran the pool. I coached the swim team and the water polo team. I was 18. I didn't do it full time. I do it like something. So that was sort of the introduction. It was just actually at the Boys Club, coaching people. And I guess I had a feel for it. Actually, at the 1976 Olympics and after I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was 30 years old and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And my friend said, "Whatever you do, Cliff, stay near the water." And then a job came up in Guelph for coaching the swim team, and that's where I met Victor Davis, and that's where my whole life changed. It's quite interesting. And when I went to Guelph in '76, I remember going in a church and crying. Because what am I doing in Guelph after Montreal? Anyway, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So, so That's out of some experience you don't want. Sometimes some great things. Taking risks, is a good thing.
Absolutely. Definitely sounds like it was a life changing opportunity. So, Cliff, you were awarded Canadian Swimming Coach of the Year 3 times in your career. How did you earn this recognition?
Well, I mean, the award was really given out because of Victor Davis and winning the world record in 1982 world champs in Ecuador, gold medal world record in 84 at the Olympics, and then gold medal, but not world record in the 100 breaststroke at the world champs in 86. So it was basically based on one swimmer. But I mean, my career circled away around more than one swimmer, and my teams have won many national championships. I've had swimmers swim in every major games in the world. They've won medals in every major games in the world. I can't think of major games we did not win a gold medal in. Everything, Pan Pacs, Pan Ams, World Champs, Olympics, Commonwealth Games, Student Games, one national champion. So I've had a bit more than just one.
So, Cliff, I want to highlight that at the 1982 World Championships and 1984 Olympics, both times you had success coaching Victor Davis, setting a world record in 200-meter breaststroke and winning a gold medal. Some people might say Victor Davis was a talented swimmer, but Cliff, you know what happened behind the scenes. How do you think Victor accomplished this twice?
The first time I ever saw Victor, I said, I couldn't believe how great the talent was. And he was like 12 years old. And he dove in the pool and I went, holy cow, who is this kid? But I mean, that's the beginning of the journey. Victor Davis was the most difficult athlete I ever coached in my life. I don't know how many people could coach Victor Davis. That was probably my greatest coaching achievement. And, he was always in trouble. He was a wonderful boy. And me coming from the East End and being a blue collar worker and struggling with, no support from my parents, I could really relate to Victor and what he was going through. So that really helped. But I mean, it was a very, very difficult guy to coach. You had to keep very, very wide boundaries for him to go down the road. You couldn't put him on a leash like everybody else, So I think that was the art, was coaching. And besides having a great talent, was keeping him out of hurting himself in some way. So wonderful guy, though. I mean, he just was young and full of testosterone and wild, but he was turning into such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. And I mean, he's my favorite athlete. And we were great friends after it was all over. And, then he got killed. Great athlete, good coach, very good result. Great coach, good athlete, very good result. Great coach, great athlete, great result. So I think, you need both. You need it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Every coach needs a great athlete, and every athlete needs a great coach for sure. So, Cliff, to learn any new skill or gain expertise, you need to practice, practice, and practice. There isn't much debate about that. Scientific research shows that the quality of your practice is just as important as the quantity. And more importantly, these scientists also believe that expert level performance is primarily the result of expert level practice, not only due to talent. Do you agree with this, Cliff?
Yeah, I mean, the athlete has to have great talent. And they have to have a great work ethic, or forget it, it ain't happening. And they have to have a great program. And I agree with what you're saying about the program, that, it's not about practice, it's about practicing the right things. Because practice makes permanent. It doesn't make great. So you better be practicing the right things. And you better be practicing them over a long period of time, like 10, 12 years. It ain't an instant fix, So it's a long road, and there are no shortcuts. You can't teach shortcuts. And winning, it can't be about, even though you want to win, it's all about winning. It can't be about winning. It's got to be also about doing what's right for the individual. Keeping them on track as a human being is the ultimate, to me, even though winning is incredible. We all want to win. You can't put that ahead of the development of the individual and what's right. So that's that's my big, belief. And then if you lose an athlete, because they can't live in that kind of a thing, then you lose an athlete. That's all there is to it. But you can't lower your standard of behavior and, to win. I got to tell you a story. When I was coaching at Etobicoke, I had a young swimmer come from out west. Well, he wasn't that young. He was he was a breaststroker like Victor, and he wanted to be the world record holder. And he was, and he met with me for breakfast, and he told me he wanted to be the world record holder, and he wanted to do steroids. And then I would be a great coach. And I said, well, Rob, that leaves me out because I'm already a great coach and I don't need this steroid stuff. So I kicked him off the team. So, there ain't no shortcuts, because when you do shortcuts, everybody loses, And if you look at, like when I hear it, I see it all the time. When I walk through the woods and see garbage everywhere, when you see them dumping nuclear waste into the oceans, I'm saying when we all cheat, we all lose. And that's something we've got to teach, is playing by the rules. It's huge, absolutely huge. And we've lost track of the honesty. Where's the honesty anymore? It's all gone, So that's integrity. That's leadership.
Absolutely. And and just kind of avoiding that magic bullet mentality, right?
Well, putting winning ahead of everything is a huge mistake. My opinion.
So, Cliff, this brings me to my next question. In the book, The Talent Code, Daniel Coyle wrote, "Don't look for big, quick improvement. Seek the small improvement one day at a time." Do you agree with this statement?
I agree with the concept. I mean, you can't make a breakthrough in all of a sudden, In my career, it doesn't happen. It's 6 months of hard work before you see a breakthrough. You may have a mental breakthrough, but a physical performance breakthrough is basically, an incremental thing. And you got to be prepared. The great athletes can see the light at the tunnel and go through the years and years of work. And the athletes that can't. I mean, they'll never really amount to much in their life unless they find out something they really want to do.
So, Cliff, this brings me to my next question. As a coach, you had an incredible ability to connect with every swimmer as an individual. You did not treat everyone the same. You knew how to connect with each swimmer on a deeper level than most coaches do. That was why so many swimmers love swimming for you. Putting the person before the athlete is something a lot of coaches fail at doing. When did you understand how important this was?
I was born with a love of people and an intuition into looking into them and seeing what makes them tick, and finding out what really, what they're about, what we share in common, how I can make them feel good about themselves, how they can contribute, how they, be members of a team, is learning to be a member of a team. And so anyway, it's like being society. It says swim teams and all these teams are just miniature societies, that were teaching these lessons, right? So I think you got to love people, and you got to want what's best for the person, regardless if it's not the best thing for you as a coach or anything. It's got to be. I tell you a little. I'm sitting at the Pan American Games '91 in Cuba. I was the head coach of the Pan American game team, and I'm sitting in the cafeteria, and a very attractive girl, sort of a mixed race, mulatto girl, lovely girl, comes up and says, "You don't remember me, but I swam with you I coached in Ottawa for a while. I swam with you in Gloucester, Ottawa, and you told me to go into track and field." And she made the Canadian track and field team. So, it made me feel very good. I never forgot it. And, that's what it's about, is making people succeed, even if it's not in, right, what you want to help you succeed, right? I've seen coaches, and I mean, these are famous coaches. Whether they're great coaches is different. They're famous coaches in Canada. I saw one of them talk a swimmer into staying around for a whole year because the swimmer felt he could make the Olympic team. And from my opinion, there was no chance. But the coach talked him into it because not because he can make the Olympic team, because he wanted him to stick around to help him win a relay at the national championships. So I never forgot that either. That I could never have done that. So I don't know what's right, what's wrong, but it's to me ethically, I could, I got to help the person tell them when, yes, you should quit. Maybe it's time to move on, do something else. Anyway, that's what I feel.
For sure, making sure you're able to take that moment and prioritize your athlete first. So, Cliff, as mentioned in your introduction, you were a coach who prioritized team discipline and quality training. Why do you think this was true? Could you share a couple examples with our listeners?
Well, I mean, quality training could be huge. All of a sudden, one day you're doing, 16,400 meters for a distance swimmer. It depends on what the athlete is. And, it just means doing what's right for that athlete on that day. Okay? That's what it means. Like, I had to convince swimmers who, distance swimmers, that doing these 16,400s was better than the sprinters doing 20 dive 50s, right? Because I'm trying to do what's right for them, what's going to make them succeed. So that's a big, that and giving them the belief, right, to stick with the program and stick it out, So to me, the quality is, the quality is in doing what's right for that person at that day and that moment. And, it's not doing the same workout, it's changing the workouts like a lot, It's like a meal, right? You got to, every day you want different meals, you want to keep it interesting, and they may do some ridiculously small amount of mileage, but it's so much fun and everything. So you go in, sometimes I went in with workouts in mind and changed it totally. And I always told myself, I'm doing this, I told the swimmers, I'm doing this because I care about them, not because I'm sticking to it, because I feel I got a better idea. And sometimes that swimmers say to me, well, why don't we do this? And I thought, okay, that's a good idea. And I changed the workout. So that takes a lot of confidence in myself and a lot of belief in swimmers. So I think doing what's right is really the point. I don't think compromise is the right answer, because I don't think excellence is about compromise. I don't think excellence is about democracy. It's high excellence is about really benevolent dictatorship, where sure, the athletes can come to you with ideas, right? But since the result ends up in your plate, you're responsible for the result as a coach. You have to either accept, or modify or reject what they bring to you. And if it works, you go, great, I love it, let's do it, and they feel better. But you know what I mean? So,
gotcha. So, Cliff, you've been in the field for a bit, and you for sure have seen some good and some bad coaches. What separates a good coach from a great coach?
Many things, just like a swimmer. It's talent, right? Talent, intuition, experience, people skills. You have to be inspirational. You have to walk the walk. You have to be disciplined and do everything. You have to lead from in front and not push from behind. It's really it's more than, it's just not a simple thing. I think you have to be all the qualities of a great leader, I think, are the same thing as a great coach. So whatever you think is a great leader, the same thing applies for a great coach.
So, Cliff, what qualities do you feel are important for someone to become a world-class coach?
Well, you have to want to do it big time, because it's one of the hardest way to make a living, especially in swimming, is one of the hardest way to make a living in the world. I mean, people don't realize the sacrifice that most of these coaches lose their families and wives, and being at swimming pools 16 weekends, 20 weekends a year, for 30 hours on a weekend, and then getting up all week long at 4:30 in the morning and going to board meetings and making 40, 50 grand a year without any whatever backup plan, no long-term benefits. It's all based on passion, and so you better be in it because you absolutely love it and you adore it and need it. But the guarantees are very, very low, and it's a tough way to make a living. So The connection. I mean, for me, the big thing was a connection with the athletes, with the human being. That was, I got as much kick out of seeing a kid qualify for provincial championships, and I saw, somebody qualify for the Olympics. Really. Now, when Victor won the gold medal, it was sort of just icing on the cake, and it proved everything that I wanted to do in my life was succeed and prove that I could succeed at the highest levels in the world. I couldn't do as an athlete because I didn't have the tools that like Victor had. So, but I could give him other tools. So,
Mm-hmm. And so what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out in their coaching career?
Like I said, you got to do it because you want to do it, and follow your heart. The biggest thing I can say is follow your heart to anybody. Follow your passion in your life and take responsibility for it, because, if somebody else is guiding you, and giving you what they want, like my opinion about swimmers, athletes was they have to own the dream. It's got to be why they're there, because they want to be there, not because their parents, not because I want them there. They have to own this dream. And I think these coaches have to own this dream and be there 100% over the long haul. But in Canada, it's a very, you live in Eastern Europe where, the government's paying your salary. You're not working for a board of directors that are the parents of the swimmers you're coaching. It's a lot better situation. Or in the American university, where you're a university coach and you're getting amazing money to coach, and having assistant coaches and no budget problems and all, and masseuses, and it's wonderful. But coaching at a club scene is a very, very, very difficult pursuit. So I'm just lucky that I did it when I can. And now in Canada, we have centers, right? So you got 2 or 3 or 4 centers where the coaches are very well treated, coaching 6, 8 kids and getting big salaries and no board of directors. So they're really in a very privileged position. One that I'm really not in favor of, because I really think it takes away from the day in, day out soldiers that we also need to prove that they can do it. So anyway, my opinion.
Absolutely. So as you know, the purpose of this podcast is to inspire people to achieve greatness and enhance their personal well-being. But Cliff, what is your definition of greatness?
Pretty simple. Well, first of all, like I told you, we talked about it before, that, right? I talked a lot about this by friends, that I call it success, not greatness. Okay? I call it success and pursuit of excellence and success. Because how many people can reach greatness? Very few. How many people can be all they can be? Everybody. To me, I call it reaching one's potential. It was a day in, day out thing. And I have my life has always been a love affair with excellence, even in anything, music, art. It's never been just about swimming or sport. I just really love excellence. So that, and I love people who go deeply into something rather than being a bit of everything. I really like people that go deeply into playing piano or deeply into, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I'm in love with that. I'm in love with the pursuit. And I think my life has been a reflection of that. So I think greatness, I talked about greatness is when you compare yourself to everybody else. When you're measured by the world, that is greatness. When you can win and whatever in the world of Picasso or, whatever it is, piano, whatever it is, that to me, that's greatness. When you're measured against everybody else and you can come up on top, So that's my story. But my goal in life is to be everything I can every day. It's a tough role. Physically, I'm 75. I feel great. I train 4 or 5 times a week. I push myself to pretty hard. I still get my heart rate up to maybe 160, which is pretty good at 75 years old. And I remember being in a gym in Switzerland when I was living in Switzerland, and one of the instructors was saying, "Well, you're going too hard, you're pushing too hard. At our age, you only have to maintain." And I said, "Well, I mean, I can maintain down here, or I can maintain in the middle, or I can maintain up here. I want to maintain up here. So, personal choice. So excellence is a personal choice that we all make. Go through life. You want to go through life as a Porsche? You want to go through life as a garbage truck? I choose to be a Porsche. An old Porsche, mind you, a 911.
That's great. And so, Cliff, is there anything else that you would like to add to today's conversation?
Well, life is good. Life is great. You got to teach. Well, I tell you, in life, you got to do a few things, and one is take risks. You got to be prepared for failure, and you got to keep moving forward. You got to get over obstacles, and you got to dwell on the positive in life. So, I think getting over obstacles in one's life, and that is the biggest thing people can learn. And moving forward is defines us. So, I think taking a risk is an important thing. So, yeah, that's what I try to do every day. Push myself, take a lot of risks, and get out of the comfort zone, and love people. So, it's all fun. Life can be fun. Life can be fun. It's what you make it.
So, Cliff, thank you for making time today. You've been very generous with your time, and I cannot wait to have you back on again.
Okay. We got to talk about something else. So, anyway, thank you so much for having me on. I hope all those guys, all the swimmers and friends I meet that hear this program, that how much they also influenced my life and benefited my life, And I'll tell you one more thing I want to tell you that I'd say how you judge a great coach is the relationship that they have with the swimmer when the swimmer career is over, and what happens between them, and what you've left that person with, the tools you've given them to move forward in life, right? That's how I judge a great coach, really. Is what platform did you give them to leave from that helps them be a better person in life? So that's how really I judge a great leader and a great coach.
Thank you for listening to the Living Your Greatness podcast. If this show has added value, please subscribe, leave a rating, and make a review.